Shri Bhagavan, all the people in the world, if they are spiritual seekers or ordinary people, they are looking for happiness. All the things that the people are doing is in the pursuit of getting themselves happy or getting their loved one happy. So is there a possibility to reach happiness, to be happy in this life, living as a normal human being, living as a regular human being, having a job, family? Is there any possibility like that in your view?
Actually, when we are happy, that means we become unconscious of what is happening. So happiness makes us unconscious, because sorrow alone makes us do something. It creates some struggle within ourselves. It creates some that we have to do something. So whenever we are happy, we have nothing to do. It is naturally that we become unconscious of ourselves. So that means we accept as everything as it is. The happiness, we are very easy to accept the happiness, but we are not ready to accept our sorrow, because it creates some pain. So whenever we have some pain, we want to do something and we want to be free from pain. But whenever we are happy, we are not struggling with that. Thereby we become unconscious, we go to the unconscious level. But whenever in the same way, if you are able to accept even the sorrow itself, so the very acceptance make you unconscious. So whenever you reject something, then only you struggle to get away from that. So your struggle alone makes you alive. So otherwise, when you accept everything wholeheartedly, that means it is in another way you become unconscious. So actually the unconsciousness is the real state. So whenever you are struggling, you retain your consciousness. Thereby you do something. So it is our natural demand, because whenever we are in sorrow, the demand for to be unconscious is creates a struggling within ourselves. Thereby we struggle to remove that. Thereby we can't be unconscious. But at the same time, if we allow everything to flow, the flowing makes you unconscious of everything. Because in the natural flow, we don't feel any weight for ourselves. So all things loses its weight. But this happens if you are able to treat sorrow and suffering, happiness. We have to give equal weight to everything. So if you select happiness alone, then we are against sorrow. And whenever we select something, this is good, this is bad, then only we are against to some adverse feeling. For example, if somebody is, some students are studying in a class, and if they got the pass mark and will promote the students to the other class, then we are not retaining them. So when they fail, then when they accrue the fail mark and not getting the pass mark, then we will retain the students in that same class. So here, if you give pass mark to all those things, whatever happens, it happens naturally. So when some sorrow comes or some adverse feeling comes, we have to give pass mark to each and everything. When we give pass mark to everything, then there is no retention of that. So everything will get away from you. So we have to, that means we have to accept as it is a natural thing. So if you think something is strange and it should not be found placed here, then thereby we are giving fail mark to that. So if you accept everything as a natural one, thereby you are giving pass mark to each and everything. So thereby everything moves away from you. So the natural flowing is there. So in the natural flowing, so there can be any difference between happiness and sorrow. Everything is one. Because in the flow, you become unconscious. Because the struggling alone makes you conscious. So that is the basic difference between the happiness and sorrow. The seeking sorrow is only to seeking the unconscious state.
So, Sri Bhagavat, what you actually are saying is that if we allow everything to flow on its own, then we become unconscious of ourselves. And this itself is the happiness.
So unconsciousness is the result of happiness. So happiness is a feeling, but if you harmonious with the feeling, then that means you are one with that. You are not taking anything as a separate entity. So whenever you struggle something, thereby you create yourself as a separate entity. You retain yourself as a separate entity to fight with the other thing. So whenever you are when you are one with the happiness, then you are not creating yourself as a separate entity. So if you in this way, if you do not fight with the sorrow itself, then you are not keeping yourself as a separate entity. So the oneness makes you the unconscious state. It can be termed as unconscious. That does not mean you forget yourself. You are there, but you are not. You are not. It is not problematical.
Yes, there is a term in. You are not self-conscious.
Yeah, self-conscious.
You are conscious, but not self-conscious.
Not self-conscious, because
you are like a child.
Not like a child, but for example, many people say like that. If the shoe is fit, you will forget it.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
If the shoe is pricking, then you will always remind that. So if the shoe is fit, you will forget it.
Okay.
So in this way, so everything is okay, you forget yourself. So you missed yourself. You become unconscious of yourself.
So many people might think that if I allow everything to flow on its own, then let's say anger comes and I allow it to flow, so I might start to do things that then hurt other people by this anger.
So here, for example, if we may have some fear or some anger when we have some children in our house, and the children may create some mischief and other thing, thereby we got anger upon the children, and we may very easily express our anger upon the children because they are our own, and we are very free to express our anger. But at the same time, if some relative children come to our house and they also created some mischief, and thereby we got the same anger, but we not express the anger as if we have shown it to our children. So there is no difference between the anger created by our child and the other child. But at the same time, we will not express the anger as if we have shown to our child, because there is some difference, some gap between the feeling and the action. So whenever the feeling comes, we transfer after some gap. We adopt the feeling and thereby we create some action. And then the action is different from the feeling. So we can make use of the gap between the two. And if you want, we can choose the anger. If you don't want, you may not choose the anger.
So what you are saying is allowing the feeling, it's purely psychological, in the pure psychological field.
Psychological field.
And the action is a different field.
Action is a different field. Action, in the field of action, you can think, you can decide. If you want, you can adopt the anger. If you don't want, you need not adopt. But you need not control the anger. So controlling is not necessary, because each and every moment, new feeling alone can come. There cannot be any feeling saying that I will not go. Every moment by moment it goes, and new feeling alone can come. So there cannot be any continuous feeling. So every feeling is momentary. Only because of our adoption we give energy to that. So if you want, it is necessary to adopt to the external world, you can make any feeling. Anger, fear, sorrow, suffering, whatever may be the feeling, if it is necessary, you can adopt. But if it is not necessary, you do not take in your hand. For example, if you are going in a dark place, having some bushes there, and you may have the fear that some snake may come. But you adopt the fear. Thereby you walk carefully on the way. So in spite of your walking carefully on the way, you may have the fear repeatedly, unconsciously. But if it happens repeatedly, you need not mind that. So because you have taken the necessary instruction from the fear, and even after that, if it comes unnecessarily, you need not mind that. And if you do not mind that, it will go away from you.
So Sri Bhagavat, maybe we can talk a little bit about action. So normally people doing action outside in the outer world in order to achieve some inner happiness, some inner peace, inner comfort. They think, if I will have this house, I will feel safe, I will be secure. If I will have this man as a husband, I will feel good. So how can we, if it is possible to act without this connection, without being concerned of the effect of our action on our psychological situation?
So here we connect our psychological feelings with the external things. For example, we may think we will be happy if we have a good bungalow. And for example, the same bungalow you like will be given to you. And whenever you got the bungalow, instead of getting happiness, you facing some problem in the bungalow. You have more sorrow in spite of happiness. But we are connecting that. If we have this, I will have this. So we think that actually we are expecting some happiness, not bungalow. The bungalow is not important. Only the happiness alone is important. But we mistakenly connect the both. And some humorous story in this connection. One person developed his love upon a woman, and he met failure in the love affair. So he got sannyas. As if he made the failure. So I have no, as I could not marry her, I will take sannyas and he go to the North India, and where he met another person in the
Another woman.
Not another person. Another person. He is also a sannyas. And he asked, he told him that I have failed in my love affair, and so that is why I made the sannyasa. And he asked the other sannyasi, why you get the sannyasa? And he told that as I have married the woman, the same woman I got.
That's a good story.
But we are connected that the happiness along with the thing. But the thing may give you unhappiness also. But we are not related to the thing. We are related only to the happiness. But our expectation is only to the psychological thing, not the physical thing. But in the name of physical thing, we actually expect psychological happening. We expect only the psychological feelings. Because all our psychological feeling that we cannot create for itself. But thereby, as we cannot create itself, if you are able to create psychological feeling on itself, then we will not rely upon anything. So as we cannot create the psychological feeling on itself, we join with many things and persons and anything, we will join the happiness with some other thing. But our real concern is our psychological feeling. So here, the salvation, if you get all the things in the world to satisfy yourself, then it is impossible. Then there cannot be any failure, there may be any failure in the external world. There are many causes in the external world, that we cannot get that thing. But even though you got the thing, you will not have the feeling of happiness as you expected. But the feeling of happiness is somewhat different. But when you actually what is necessary is that how we have to deal with those psychological feelings. Dealing with the psychological feeling alone is the essential thing. So dealing with the psychological things, you have to accept, go along with what is happening. So if you are able to accept what is happening in the psychological world, as we yearly, so whenever we are free to accept everything, we are going to the unconscious state. The unconscious state is the real state. When you do not struggle with the feelings, we are going to the unconscious state. So that means everything is okay. We are not against anything. Some part is disturbing the other part. So when everything is in the correct state, then the real salvation, real happiness, or real liberation happens only in the psychological world, and it is solved when you freely accept our psychological reaction. So if you connect the psychological reactions with the external thing, then we are mistaken in our approach. So our real approach is only to the psychological world. So psychological world is only a reactionary world. So it all comes as a reaction, all feeling comes as a reaction. And if you are open to accept all the reaction as it is, then some free flow is there. The free flow is the real thing. But if you are able to disregard the psychological feeling, and if you give total freedom to the psychological happenings, then you can go along with the physical world. You can desire some good thing in the external world. You can have the desire in the external world. You may try to have some good bungalow. You may try to have some good property. There is no doubt. There is no problem in it.
Without the expectation that it will give you some good feeling.
But you should not connect this. It will give you some because it is a different angle. The psychological happening is a different one. But if you are ready to accept what is happening psychologically, if you are ready to accept pleasure and pains as equally, then you can select anything in the external world. You can have desire in the external world. You can have attachment to anything in the external world. But in the external world, there must be some order. You must obey the laws of the land, or you have some genuine approach in the external world. That alone is enough.
Yeah. But naturally, if you don't make this connection between the house, the bungalow, and for example, and your inner state, inner psychological state, then the attachment will not be so.
There will not be attachment, but when the inducement, you can have the inducement only for the convenience alone. You can, for the convenience sake alone, you can have some attachment to the external thing.
Convenience of the body.
Convenience of the body, convenience of our society, convenience of our family, everything is. For some convenience alone, you can have some attachment to the external things. Everything you can do. Some smooth movement of the family, smooth movement of or every our functions, you can expect something. But the expectation of the psychological feeling, the expectation of the psychological reaction alone is the feeling, is the problem. So if you accept, if you give to, if you accept all your feeling in the equal importance, if you do not select anything, this I want, this I don't want, then that is the only remedy, that is only the liberation. But you do not disown the property, you do not disown the attachment to the external things. You may have, you may extend more and more. There is no problem at all.
So just understanding that it will not give us the happiness that we want.
Oh yeah, but so, we need not worry about. But this you may create some feeling. May whenever you have some thing.
But not a permanent one.
No,
just
not a permanent.
Passing satisfaction.
But whenever you are ready to accept both pain and pleasure as the same one, then you will not have any worry about that. Because the real problem creates only the selection of good and the rejection of bad in the psychology. That means the taking of pleasure and rejection of pain alone is the real problem. If you are psychologically you are not struggling, then the external struggling is not at all a struggle. So the real struggling is only psychological. The external struggling, the external work is not at all a work. It is not at all a struggle.
Yeah. Sometimes we are facing a difficult situation in our life, and we find that we cannot accept struggling, there is a struggling, and we cannot accept our situation. So what can we do in this situation that we found it, we are suffering and struggling, and we cannot accept that?
So here you have to accept it in the psychological manner. You need not accept the external situation. You may try to change the situation. So the external world is concerned, you have to try to change the situation. You have to do something in the external world. But you have to, at the same time, you have to find out that you have no work in the psychological world. You have to accept it is a natural way. When it is natural, we have to accept. When it is raining, you have to accept. as it is a natural way, you have to accept.
But so sometimes, in spite of our understanding that struggling with what we feel causes us suffering, we still find ourselves struggling, even if we know that it just creates suffering. So what can we do then?
Psychologically or externally?
Psychologically.
Psychologically you have to accept. There is no other way.
Accept that we are struggling.
No, you are struggling. You have to accept the struggling yourself. So whether you are consciously struggling or unconsciously struggling, so everything is the natural. You have to, in the psychological world, everything is we have to accept in every portion of it as a natural one. You should not take any portion of yourself is a unnatural one. Everything as a natural one. You have to accept your psychological structure as in total as a natural one. So when because you have decided that you have no work here, When you find out you have no work here, then afterwards you need not select something is good, something is bad. So you have to detect all the thing as a natural one. So you should not find any place for the conscious correction. So whatever happens, whether it happens or consciously or unconsciously, everything is same. There is no distinction between conscious action or unconscious action. All action is, you have to take all our action in the psychological world as an unconscious action.
So it sounds like it's a kind of surrender.
Surrender. It is just like surrender.
Understanding your incapability of changing anything in the psychological world.
No, because we ourselves see everything goes out of our control, and we are already come to conclusion we have no key here. But in spite of that, something is going beyond our control. So we have to accept the fact. The fact is there like this. So we are not doing it consciously. Something is happening, and we are also going along as a part of that.
So, Sri Bhagavat, in the spiritual world, many people speak about liberation and enlightenment as something that will solve the whole problem of the human condition. So according to you, according to your view, how do you see what is enlightenment, what is liberation?
But it is true that the enlightenment and the liberation solves everything. But my approach is somewhat different. According to me, the enlightenment is purely intellectual. And somebody says it is in the conscious level. Many people mix the enlightenment liberation as the same thing. But according to me, enlightenment is an intellectual process. It is only intellectual understanding. And the liberation is the conscious one. So, in our consciousness, the inner structure of our consciousness is in the form of unconsciousness. But we feel only the consciousness only by the expression of the consciousness. In our consciousness, we have several feelings like happiness, sorrow, fear, anger. So, in the expression of fear, in the expression of feeling, we feel consciousness. Otherwise, we cannot feel the consciousness in itself. So, only through the expression of consciousness alone, we feel consciousness. Otherwise, we cannot feel directly what is consciousness. So, in the conscious level, each and every moment, new feeling around can come. There cannot be any permanent feeling forever. So, moment by moment, some new feeling can come according to the conditioning and according to the circumstances. We have some feeling within ourselves. So, this feeling goes like a flowing river, because moment by moment it is new, and new thing alone can come forever, and it comes just like a flowing river. So this is the very nature of our consciousness. According to me, liberation is our nature. We need not we need not create liberation for ourselves, because liberation is our original state, liberation is our natural state. But here we have to work for the understanding, we have to work for the enlightenment. But it is only the intellectual state. So intellectually, we may be mistaken, we may be entertain some struggle within ourselves. Thereby, if we understand our mistaken way, then only if the understanding the mistaken way of our approach is known as our enlightenment according to me. So if you understand that if the intellect has no power to interfere with the conscious feeling, I say it is enlightenment or say it is understanding. Because if you do not understand this in this way, we are always struggling with the natural flow, and by selecting this I want, this I don't want. Thereby we unnecessarily interfere with the natural flow. If you do not interfere with the natural flow, it is already in the flow. It will not stand for ourselves to interfere and change. It will not expect our effort to change. It changes itself. No feeling will wait for ourselves to change. So that is the liberation is our natural state. But only our intellect alone unnecessarily interfere with the natural flow of consciousness. So if you understand we have no business there, the intellect has no business in the level of consciousness, so this understanding is known as enlightenment. So this is closely related to the surrender also. In the surrender also, when we place everything in the hands of God, thereby you do not assume any responsibility to make a change. So in this way also, in this way of understanding also, we do not, because of our understanding, we do not take any responsibility to make a change in the conscious world. So thereby the understanding and the happening goes together. So the understanding is enlightenment, and the free flow of our conscious feeling is the liberation.
The same question.
Same question. Let's see if it's the same.
We are starting.
Okay, going? Right. So the question is about that there's moments where it's understood that there's no control, that, from the perspective of the psychology, that there's nothing to do, nothing can be done to change the experience. So there's an inability, there's just a seeing that there's just a natural flow. In that moment, there's complete understanding and ease. Yet, what comes up is a doubt. The doubt gets picked up, and it might be in the form of a thought that says, I haven't got it, it's not enough. Or it might be in the respect of comparing against, maybe you read a book about a teacher, or you see Ramana and you compare and you go, oh, I haven't got it. Look, you compare their state, so that thought comes up, that doubt keeps coming up, and then you're back to practicing or back to going to do something again. And it kind of swings between that, and then the doubt goes along, and then suddenly you see again, everything's out of control of it. The psychology has nothing to do, it's all the way it's meant to be. And then it's relaxed, and then you go along again, suddenly the doubt pops up again. So the question is about that. It's about that doubt.
So when we understand, we have some relaxation. The very moment of your understanding, you have some relaxation. But afterwards, in the course of time, you have some doubts. Then you lost your relaxation itself, and you may have some comparison with other people, Ramana Maharishi or some great saints, and you can compare yourself with them, or am I one along with them? Is there any difference between Ramana Maharishi and myself? So in this way we doubt. But what happens when you first understood? Actually, when we understood that we have nothing to do in the psychological world. When we find it is correct that we have nothing to do in the psychological world, thereby we are giving up everything. Whenever we give up everything, so naturally everything is in the flow and we are in the relaxation. So it is natural. So and, then we think we create some hearing somebody and hearing something, and thereby we begin to select something. So if you select something, thereby you expect something. That is the nature of our mind. It used to go here and there, find and inquire what is that, what is the nature of some great saint, what is the status of great saint. It will go like that. But the main thing is that you have to understand that you need not attain anything. So, but when we select something, when we compare somebody else with yourself, then there you indirectly create something to attain. So if we create something to attain, thereby we are struggling. So here the main thing is that we have to leave up everything, we have to give up everything. So the process of attaining is the problem. So when we compare, when we doubt something, that means that we propose something to attain. So here, if you understand there is nothing to attain, but for the time being you may, in the beginning, for the time being you may understand you have no work in the psychological world. But it is if it is the understanding that the understanding represents that you have nothing to attain in the psychological world, and it is once for all over. So if you got this understanding, if you again claim something to attain, then only all that struggle comes. So here comes only because of some understanding, because of our effort to attain something creates problem. So some way or other you make up your mind to attain something. So psychologically there is no state to be attained. So when we do not have any state to be attained, so naturally everything goes away from you. So the real thing is everything must goes away from you and you have nothing to attain. So whenever we propose something to attain, then that alone is the problem.
So you're saying like the doubt, when the doubt comes up, the doubt's basically saying I need to attain something, something needs to be different. And in that moment that something needs to be different, then again the struggle carries on.
Yeah.
Because you want to attain something again.
So you have to understand without any doubt that you have nothing to attain. So whenever you are sure there is no such thing to be attained in the psychological world, then you will not be after any feeling.
What stops that? You're saying that you need to have that understanding, but you see it, but still the doubt comes up. What's the difference between the understanding that happens when, and then finally there's no doubt? The doubt is, or not that the doubt is removed, more that when the doubt arises, it doesn't pull you. So the doubt can still come up, but you don't believe in it anymore, you know?
For example, whenever you have some fear, sorrow, it is a natural instinct, natural intention to be free from sorrow and suffering. But that doesn't matter. But there is different from the conclusion you are having intellectual conclusion is different. So when you think, when you decide that you have something to attain in the psychological world, then you are change your position. So you should not change your psychology, you should change your stand. You should not change your intellectual stand. So whenever you may hear upon somebody, about some great saint, and you may have some affinity or some great esteem upon him, and if you think about him, So he is the best person. Because he will not have any worst feeling like me, and I have to be develop myself to reach the state of that such saint. So if we think like that, we are changing our stand, because the intellectual stand alone creates all our problem again. So whether if you do not create any intellectual stand, but all our working, even though you may have some doubt, you need not worry about the doubt. Whatever you may have the doubt, it will clear out. It will be cleared up naturally. But if you consciously create some doubt, and if you are consciously select, so somebody is good and I am not so good as he as like him, when you intellectually come to that stand, then only the intellectual stand alone make you some confusion, make you some work against the psychological problem. So if you have to verify, you have to confirm your intellectual stand. So if you are sure that if you intellectually find there is nothing to attain in the psychological realm, then the matter is over. Whether any doubt may happen, you have to treat all the doubt as an unconscious doubt, not a conscious doubt. Because you have come to the definite stand, there is nothing to work, nothing to attain in the psychological realm. So whether you have changed the stand or not is the position. So the doubt is not the problem. Because of your doubt, are you doubting your stand or not is the problem. If you do not try to change the stand of your intellectual stand, then it is not the problem. Doubt is not the problem.
And where does that understanding that you can't change the intellectual world, where does that, or the psychological world, where does that happen? Does that happen in the intellect? So that the intellect understands its own inability to make any change? Or does that happen because you see something else?
So the intellect comes to the stand that you have no work there.
Yeah.
Then what comes to you? Whether then thereby the doubt makes the change in the intellect, that you as if you have to attain something. You have changed yourself.
No, what I mean is like that the understanding. The understanding happens does the understanding happen in the intellect, that the intellect can't do it, or that the psychological world can't change. So that brings the kind of peace, I guess, or the non-interference. But does that happen in the intellect? The intellect understands its own inability to make change in the world, so therefore it stops. And
even though it may understand that it has powerless to interfere with the happenings of the psychological world, if the intellect has some maintaining some standard, this must be like that or this must be like that. If you maintain some standard within you, if your intellect is keeping any standard that this feeling alone must be there, this feeling should not be there. Whether you have the power or not, do you have any standard within the psychological world?
Preferences, you mean?
Yeah. You have any preference of the good feeling, or you have some rejection, you have some antagonism about some bad feeling? You have some standard within you?
Yeah, there'd be a preference not to feel such discomfort and a preference to feel comfort.
So the preference may be in the unconscious level, but your conditioning may be like that. Then you can unconsciously be free, like to be free from fear. You may unconsciously free to be from the sorrow. That may be unconscious. But if you consciously have any standard, this feeling is good feeling, this bad feeling is bad feeling, then only naturally you will try. Whether you are powerless, even though you are powerless, you may seek the help of other person, or you may seek the help of some philosophy, great philosophy or some suitable philosophy to get a success in the psychological world. So it will always create expect some time to struggle with the psychological world. So whenever we have something to attain, so the problem will be there. For the time being, you may be you not struggle with that, but afterwards you will entertain struggle. So psychology, you have to come to the conclusion there is nothing to attain in the psychological world. So if you select something to attain in the psychological world, then you have some effort, some struggling along with come. So the understanding in the psychology, in the intellectual world, also must cover that there is nothing to attain in the psychological world. So then only when you do not have any standard to attain in the psychological world, then all science will lose its power. So you don't mind somebody is in the highest state, Buddha is in the highest state, Ramana is in the highest state, or some great scientist in the highest state. Then you reject everything. So you even reject that you may think the enlightenment, liberation is the highest state. But when you put down everything, you put down the liberation and enlightenment also. So whenever we put down everything, then only the natural flow will be in the natural flow. So otherwise, we select something. This is good, this is bad, and so something is great, something is lower. So then only we tried ourselves in a conscious way, and this struggle, this effort is the struggling within ourselves. So but here, as we have to understand in the intellectual world, we have no business and we have nothing to attain, and we are powerless to attain everything. So in this manner, if you confirm your understanding in the intellectual world, then the matter is over.
And how do you confirm that understanding?
So confirmation means, because whenever you come to the understanding, even for the temporary time, the very moment of your understanding, you feel the relaxation. The feeling the relaxation is itself is the proof for your understanding. And moreover, you can verify, you can think for yourself, is there any other way to approach the problem in that manner? And if you find this is the correct one, this kind of understanding is the correct one, and if you share that this understanding is the correct one, and it will work, and you may have the confidence upon the understanding. So if you have the confidence upon the understanding, then you may forget everything, because whenever you want to, for example, if you want to purchase something in the market, then you have to keep it in the mind. So I should not forget that I have to go purchase something. Then only you can, even though you are going here and there, you have in the mind that I have to purchase something in the market. But you have nothing to purchase in the market, you need not remind anything, because you are in the psychological world, you have no work. So whenever we have something to attain, something to reach, then only we have to keep everything in our mind. So whenever we find that nothing's to be attained, then you can even forget your understanding itself. You need not keep your understanding forever. I have understood that I will not do anything. So you need not maintain the understanding itself.
Initially, to start with, do you need to maintain that understanding? How would you go about having, seeing that understanding? By reflection, by inquiry, or just spontaneously? How does that understanding happen, that in the intellect
So intellectual understanding happens only because of some inquiry, because we tried in many ways, and we take into consideration of all those things and come to a conclusion, and you may, along with your conclusion, because you yourself have tried in many ways, you have studied in many schools of philosophies, and you may hear from me also, but everything, and you think for yourself, you collect everything, and as a coincidence of anything, everything, and you have the total conclusion, because you take everything into the part of yourself, and you conclude, you come to a conclusion. So actually we have no work. So when you find yourself, then only when you feel relaxation, because whenever you stop struggling, there is nothing to work, then you find some relaxation. The very moment you find you have no work. So this relaxation comes as you come to the correct conclusion, and you may verify. So other persons, all other saints, other persons, all trying to convey the same message through, even though they are using many languages, many concepts, but at the end they are coming to the same level, the same understanding. Because if you see any persons or any saint, they got the enlightenment and liberation whenever they put all their responsibility and they do not struggle for themselves to attain something. Then only they come to the conclusion. For example, Ramana Maharishi met the fear of death at the age of 16, and when he did not try to conquer the fear of death. He simply accepts. He is not selecting that I must go away from the fear of death. He does not select anything. As he is not selecting other than what is happening, so that he goes away from what is happening. So in this way, if you see everything in all the teachers, all the saints, in the life of all the saints, you can see the same thing happen. Even Nisargadatta Maharaj himself, he believes that he is the absolute reality. When he believes, but he approaches in the different direction. He believes himself to be the absolute reality. So when he believes himself to be the absolute reality, then what else he is needed? So nothing is needed. So we should not have any demand. When we come to a stand, we should not have any more demand. So, but it is also a belief. Even though Nisargadatta Maharaj think that he is the absolute reality, it is a intellectual belief. It is not a realization. Only belief alone, only intellectual belief alone makes him to not to select anything. So in this way, everybody is working in the same line. And if you understand, everybody is going to say the same thing in a different angle, and thereby you can confirm this is the thing, that thereby we need not select anything. So you have to come to the conclusion, we have nothing to do. So whenever you find you have nothing to do, that means your work is over. Then you have to go along with what is happening. So afterwards, that alone is remaining. Then whenever we have no work, then what else we have to do? So we have to go along with what is happening.
And if you were talking about before, you said that it gets to a point when even that understanding isn't needed. But say, how we were talking about before, doubt keeps coming up. So then, in that case, do you keep reflecting on, like you're saying, bringing it all together and reflecting on that there's nothing, that there isn't anything to do when you find yourself caught back in that doing until it becomes, perhaps, until the intellect finally realises that there's nothing to do, because it goes like from these moments of there is nothing to do, and it picks it back up, and you go from one to the other. For some people, I do anyway, one to the other.
Is there any special thing he want to convey?
He's just saying that there's a movement from understanding there's nothing to do, and then again caught up in the resisting, wanting to change. So there is this movement.
Yeah.
This is what you wanted.
Yeah, and I was asking about when that movement is still happening, and the times when you're caught up again. Is there a time to reflect again about the inability?
So when you resist in this way, have you changed your intellectual stand or not? That
Yes.
is the question. Have you changed?
Yeah, you've got there's a preference that's come up that's like, if I'm resisting, there's the
So
preference
if you
come up.
if you change it in the intellectual level itself, then you have to verify the intellect, because you have come to the conclusion, sufficiently conclusion. You can believe that you have come to the right conclusion. For example, you can add 2 plus 2 is equal to 4.
Yeah.
You need not doubt about it. It is in how many person may say it is wrong. So you have because you have done the calculation correctly. So you can believe your calculation.
Yeah.
So when you believe your calculation, then the calculation will work. So in this way, if you understand, because everybody, whatever may be the saint, whatever may be the great person, everybody comes to the position in the same way, then you can have the confidence upon your calculation. It is only a calculative mind. The intellectual mind is only calculative mind, and you calculate here and there, you collect all the knowledges, all the things, and you come to the right conclusion, and you are sure that you are properly done. You have not committed any mistake there. Then you need not doubt about it. When you are sure, you have no doubt about it. So even after your understanding, so your conditioning may be the reason for the selection of something. For example, if you have sorrow and suffering, because of your conditioning, if you are in a situation, you may have some fear, you may have some anger, you may have some sorrow, whatever it may be. It happens like this. So whatever happens will go away naturally. But whenever it happens like that, you should not take it as if you have created it, because you have not created it. It is a happening, it is a natural happening. Your conditioning and the circumstances make the happening, and you have not consciously created. For example, whenever you meet a situation and you have some anger upon some person, and then you may consciously take the anger in your hand. So then only you can make use of the anger to the external person. Then only you can solve the situation in a proper way. So if you think like that, then you are consciously taking the anger in your hand. So that alone is your part. But before that, anger comes even without your intention. In the first instance, anger, fear, sorrow, everything comes on its own. But afterwards, we consciously select something in our hand, and we make use of the external world. For in the external world, you can make use of any feeling if it is necessary to the external world. That is no problem. But you, at the same time, you need not feel any guilty for the natural happening of your adverse feeling.
Yeah.
Then it is because you have not created. When you have not created anything, you need not feel guilty for that. You need not take yourself to be blamed. So it is not against your understanding.
Yeah.
So it is the happening because of your conditioning. You need not worry about that. So if you do not struggle as if you yourself has created the feeling, then only the problem comes. And if you did not come to the conclusion as if you have created the feeling, and you understand that it comes naturally, and you accept what is happening, and it will go away naturally. You will not worry about that.